Hey friends, this is Pastor Craig. I'd like to welcome you to Ask Pastor Craig. Thanks for joining me. So, my question this evening is this. I have a lot of questions about some of the things that God asked different individuals in the Bible to do. Things like sacrificing their children, for instance. These things seem puzzling to me. Why would God ask someone to sacrifice their only child? In addition to this, it creates some conflicts of my faith. Should I even be asking these questions? Am I allowed to ask these questions? Am I wrong for asking these questions? I guess you can see I have a lot of questions. Can you help me out? Thank you so much, man. Actually, I kind of love this question. There are those who would say that when we question some of the things that God has spoken in the Bible, that somehow makes us a bad Christian. It makes us followers of God who, we're just not very good at it. I don't agree with that. I remember hearing a story of an individual who went to actually study Judaism. He's a Christian pastor, but he wanted to know more about where the faith came from. So he went to study Judaism in Israel. And interestingly enough, the rabbi asked them to come up with all kinds of questions about the binding of Isaac, the sacrifice, God asking Abraham to sacrifice Isaac. And they asked all kinds of questions. And at the end of the session, the rabbi said, "I'm very disappointed that none of you asked the question, why would God ask someone to sacrifice their child?" He said, "I can't believe it. I'm amazed that this doesn't bother you. What kind of human beings are you?" I think that's great. It isn't to say that God was wrong in what he said or that there wasn't a really good reason for it. But certainly we have questions. God, how could you? Why would you? And that leads us to deeper exploration of who God is, of the circumstances that surround that story. Why? How come? What was the end result? What was the reason? Those are important questions. They're not aspects that display a lack of faith, but instead they are the kind of inquisition that produces a much more solid, grounded, and authentic faith. So I encourage you to continue to ask the questions, but then you have to be brave enough, tenacious enough to explore and discover the answers. That's the flip side of it. Sometimes we ask the questions and those questions become a stumbling block for our faith. And that's only because we're too lazy to dig up the answers. So if you're going to ask the questions, man, if you're going to ask the tough, hard questions, then you have to be committed to the tenacity of finding the answers, because the answers are definitely there. God is always right. Figuring out how, figuring out why, sometimes that becomes an interesting pursuit. But I think you're on the right path. Thank you so much for your question. I sincerely appreciate it. And I encourage your further exploration of your faith. Hey, if you have something you'd like to add to this or a question that is unrelated, I'd love to hear from you. You can do that in one of two ways. You can reach me at this radio program's Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ROR Ministries, or you can reach me at my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Pastor Craig Online. God bless you.